exchanges to take place within the Brahmacharya ashram. And tomorrow we'll be talking about exactly what these loving exchanges are, and we'll have some discussion on that. So we'll stop here for today and leave the floor open for some discussion. Maybe some comments, some experiences you want to share, or some questions, and so on. We have a few minutes. Yes, Prabhu.
Thank you very much for a very inspiring class. I was just thinking sometimes devotees having loving relationships with each other, sometimes I find it seems that it's almost kind of superficial, but we try and put on some sentimental smile and we praise the devotees for really small things like, well done, you've tied up your shoelaces so well. And it almost seems to me sometimes that it's kind of, for me it kind of seems a bit off-putting when it's like that. It's a bit false and sentimental. It doesn't seem like it's a true loving exchange. So I wondered how we could, is that just the fault that's within my heart, or is there a way we can make them deeper, not so kind of sentimental and superficial?
Yeah, that's a good question. It's a very relevant question. If you remember, in the beginning you mentioned that real loving exchanges happen on the Krishna conscious platform. So, the more Krishna conscious we are, the more natural and spontaneous these loving exchanges will be. And to the degree we are not Krishna conscious, it will not be possible to have such loving exchanges. So these loving exchanges are based on the spiritual platform. At the same time, I also mentioned that we have to be aware that we have not reached Krishna Prema. We still have many anarthas, unwanted things in the heart. And we have to recognize that and appreciate that others also have needs that may go beyond simply just being on the Krishna conscious platform. And those needs sometimes may be a little harmless. If some need is harmful for Krishna consciousness, of course we don't address that. Srila Rupa Goswami also mentions that one must not be neglectful in ordinary dealings. When we talk of loving exchanges being on the Krishna conscious platform, then what happens is there is a risk that we start becoming a little callous towards personal relationships, thinking that we shouldn't be sentimental. So yes, we should not be sentimental, you're right. At the same time, we shouldn't also become callous, thinking that, oh, we're just talking about the spiritual platform, not about ordinary mundane things. Like, did you sleep well in the night? You know, what does it got to do with Krishna consciousness? We will think like that. But for that person it's important, because if he hasn't slept well, he's not chanting well, he's feeling sick, it's an issue for him. So a devotee is always concerned even about little things. So it's not mundane sentiment, but if it is, then we should be cautious. We shouldn't get carried away with that. But it's not that every expression of concern should be for something really major. No, even for small things. And Srila Prabhupada demonstrated this through his own example in his behavior with the devotees. If somebody was sick, he would go one time, he called him out from the Guru Puja and came, come here, and so he had cut his finger or something. So how's the finger? It's not that he had some major heart operation or something. Just some little thing. He called him. He took the trouble of calling him right through the Guru Puja, called him and actually spoke with him. So Srila Prabhupada demonstrated by example how we have to be concerned for others. But yes, we have to be cautious it doesn't just become mundane sentiment. But we must express that, because it's sometimes encouraging an expression. An expression of our concern is encouraging for everyone. It's nourishing for others in their Krishna consciousness. Because ultimately, you see, we are not stones, as Prabhupada said one time. Therefore we have feelings. And very often we neglect this emotional requirement. And when that is not addressed in the brahmachari ashram, the brahmachari will try to look for it. Where? Somewhere else. Where he'll get a lot of it. Or will he get other problems too associated with that. So it's not a question of being sentimental from a mundane point of view. We should guard against that. It's just a question of being human. One devotee told me that somebody, one sannyasi was saying in the class, I don't know who it was. It was a nice statement actually, he said. We are so busy being spiritual that we forget to be human. Right? So we think, well, we're just Krishna conscious, we're just going to be on the spiritual platform, and we forget that here are real human beings in the real material world who have issues in their life, and they need encouragement, they need support. So yes, we should keep that in mind. We should be sensitive in our day-to-day dealings and even in small matters. But not that should be the only thing we do. Then it's obviously too much. If that's all you're going to be dealing with that person for, then that's artificial. Right? Yes,
Thank you for the class much. Just had a question. In that purport, Srila Prabhupada, he writes that if there's some disagreement amongst devotees over service, then it's to be taken as spiritual.
Some consolation, isn't it?
So I'm just wondering, is there disagreement over service amongst devotees that is material? And in such a situation where it is a material disagreement, even though it's in the realm of devotional service, how should we deal with it and how do we identify it?
Can you come back to the purport, if possible? Prabhupada gives the answer, but this is an important point. That's why Prabhupada mentions that should be the only consideration. How can I best serve Krishna? If to the extent that there's other considerations involved that are not that, to that extent the mundane element will creep in to the problem. Yeah. Okay. Can you one line above? Yeah. Disunity between individual souls is so strong within this material world that even in a society of Krishna consciousness, members sometimes appear disunited due to their having different opinions. That's fine. But what's the next point? And leaning towards material things. Having different opinions is legitimate. You want to offer lemon juice to Krishna and I want to offer orange juice to Krishna. So we disagree. It's alright. We come up to some point. But if I want to offer lemon juice to Krishna because I want to drink lemon juice, then there's an issue there. Okay? So, sometimes appear disunited due to their having different opinions and